Hello everyone and welcome back. My name is Betsy and today I've got a fun little project that I've actually been putting off for a while. I'm finally going to be able to do it today. I was going through all of my papers in my craft room here and finally put together all of these little drawings. They're all sorts of different sizes. Some of them I think I never even got around to finishing, but I think I'm okay with that. I'm not really one to go back to some of these things and try to get them done. This one definitely could use some work, so I might set a few aside. But what I am going to do today is I'm going to get them all organized because there's so many of them, and they're different sizes, and some of them are full pages. Some of them are partials, kind of just haphazard here. But the good thing is I am going to get them organized into this kind of book, and it's not going to require any kind of binding, just a little bit of gluing and folding. And I'll show you what it looks like here. I have a different one that I finished already. And this is about 15 or 16 sheets of cardstock that I used to make this. And the fun part about this is it's an accordion. The inspiration for this, at least for me, came from Mayan books, which they did used to make in an accordion style. So these pages you would be able to look at in one direction like this, and then you would also be able to see them in the other direction. I know that for when it came to these Mayan books, what they would do is they would open them up like this and they would display them on the wall, since these books usually tended to have kind of some historical meaning. It would kind of show off the lineages and the family ties that had happened over the years. So they would actually open them up and put them on the wall and display them. And they were made of probably some kind of animal skin or something like that. Ours can be displayed as well if you like, but really for me, the purpose of it today is just to be able to put these drawings away so they're not just floating around everywhere. So that was a little bit of history behind these kind of things. So how about we get started, and what we're going to use to do this is some cardstock. So here I have some. This is actually not the thickest cardstock. This is 67-pound cardstock, so it is kind of like a mid-weight. It's not super heavy. Just use whatever you've got. If you don't have any, you should be able to go get some cardstock at your local paper supply or office supply or anything like that. You should have lots of options there. I think for this one, how many pages do I want? I'm going to stick to about the same amount. I'm going to do about 15 or 16 sheets. So let me count those out. Okay, so I went ahead and counted 20 pages out actually. I'm going to see how much of a difference it makes to have a couple more sheets in there. So let me show you now what I'm going to do with each one of these. Let me just grab one of them. There we go. And let's move our random drawings aside for now so that we can just have our work surface here. All right, so on this sheet of paper, for me, this is an 8.5 by 11. I am in the United States, so this is letter size, letterhead. So 8.5 by 11. So here we have it here, 11 inches. And so the first thing that I would like to do is I want to give myself one little section here. Let's see, is an inch too much? I think an inch will be too much. I'm just going to use my pencil. And you don't have to use your pencil. If you have any kind of tools for folding paper, you can go ahead and use those now. I don't have any, so I'm just going to mark 1/2 inch here. You can use a pen, you can use whatever you like if you don't want to use a pencil. 1/2 inch there. So now this reduces my space here to only 10.5 inches. So now I could do some math here, but it's really not necessary. All that's relevant is I'm going to take the rest of my page here and I'm simply going to fold it in half up to that line. Like that. Easy enough. So it's just a sheet of paper that's folded in half, but I've got this extra little lip here. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to very carefully try to fold this right here along that line. Again, if you have anything for folding paper a little better, there we go. Kind of where my pencil scored it, it helped it kind of crease along there. So if you're going to use maybe, let's say, a pen, try to use one that's got one of these balls on it, so that as you draw, it creases the paper there. It should be a little easier to fold. So this is what we've got essentially, is this zigzag shape like this. We are going to do this to the rest of our pages, so I'm going to do that right now. All right, so this is number 20 that I've got right here. Let me see if I can stack them up nicely. So that's all of them. Hopefully those couple of extra sheets that I put in there aren't going to interfere too much. So I've got all of them here now. Nice little mess of papers. And now what we're going to do is we are going to glue them together and turn them into a nice accordion. So let's go ahead and do that. We can use a couple of different things. I'll show you this tape that I have. This is a double-sided tape. And I'll give you the link to this. I will give you the links to all of the things that I'm using here in case you're interested in getting any of these. And all that we're going to do is... So one thing that you'll probably notice is that when we reach the end of the project, we'll need to remove one of these for the end where our cover is going to be. But for now, I won't worry about it. I'm just going to start selecting these. I'll pick 2 at a time. And I will start joining them with some of this tape. I actually really enjoy this. There are times or certain projects that I just don't really want to use glue on. And this is one of those. Just putting these pages together can be a little bit messy. So there we go. Here's the tape. It just kind of comes off of here. It does have this on top and you just kind of need to remove it. Hopefully your fingers are nimble. It takes a little bit of work here. Let's see how long it takes me. There we go. We just peel this off and now it's ready to roll. So what you want to just do is be careful. Make sure that they're always oriented in the same direction. So you've got this tab will join to this free edge here. And what you'll want to do is just make sure that they're lined up as nicely as possible. Let's see if we can do that here. And so if you see that they're not lining up the way that you want, just pull them apart a little bit. As long as you haven't pressed them together, you should be able to rearrange. And so what I do is I line up the other edge down here, the free edge, or at least the side that's folded, and then that should help me find the proper spot for starting to press them. So there we go. And now I can actually go through, add a little bit of pressure. So this is just 2 pages that have been joined. It's pretty nice. So instead of adding to this one, what I'm going to do is join them in little sets of 2. And then I will join those sets into sets of 4s and so on and so forth, right? So that I'm kind of clustering them together. I feel that this way there's less of a chance that I'll end up with kind of this wonky edge, because it does happen. It does happen, believe me. So what I want to do is, again, I'll show you one more time, is this is the side that doesn't have the tape on it. I'll just lean those against the table down there, use my hands to line up the edges, so it will essentially become the top and bottom. And once I'm holding on to that, I press the top. Hopefully it's lined up well enough, and now I can press it. So now that I have 2 of these, then I can cluster those. Again, this is in order to minimize the distortion that kind of happens after a while when you join these. So we'll do that one right there. This tape is so nice. I'm actually just about ready to get some more. It's not terribly expensive, so again, if you do want to check it out, I've got I've got the link for it provided in the description of the video, along with all the other things that I'm using here. So let's try this one more time. So I'm going to line them up with my hands to kind of tap the sides, tap it against my table, hold on to that knee really nice and tight, and then I can press down, and there we go. They're now joined and we got a nice accordion here. Looks pretty good. And I'm going to go and join the rest of those, and I'll be right back in just a sec. Okay, so I finally added this very last one, all my little segments here. So let's take a look. Let's see how it looks. I think for the most part I managed to keep it from getting too wonky. I tried to do my best to keep them aligned. So here we go. Here's what it looks like. Here's one side. Very nice. And then the idea is you should be able to just close it and open the other side, and you've got all of these surfaces to work with. So it looks pretty good. All right, so that's the end of that. I know that we have this free edge here, and you can do whatever you want with it. You could add something else here if you want. There's always the possibility that if you want to get adventurous with it later, after you've filled it up with all sorts of cool stuff and you want to kind of keep adding to it, you could just leave this here so you can add more to it. So that's your choice. I believe I'm just going to close it off here. Rather than cut it off, I'm going to just fold it back in and glue it down, or in this case what I've got is my double-sided tape, and I think that'll help reinforce that edge a little while I decide what to do with my covers. I won't show you what to do the covers this time because I don't have an image that I want to put there. What I will likely do is later I will design a full page drawing that will go all the way to the edges, and then I'll use that to just kind of glue it onto here to be my covers. But for now, I'm going to leave it blank. So there you saw, I just kind of taped it down, and this side is just regular paper. And I'll show you by adding a couple of my drawings in here. Of course, my cat is laying on top of my drawings. Here we go. I took his bed away. There we go. So like I mentioned earlier, I have drawings of all sorts of different sizes, and these smaller ones, I do believe that I generally was cutting some pages that were about 5 by 7. You can see those will fit just fine. So if I open that up, I will just be able to glue those in here or tape them in here, whatever the case is, which is pretty self-explanatory. I'll let you figure that out if you want to glue or tape these inside of your pages. So these fit just fine. You can see here, anything that's 5 by 7 fits just fine. So I've got those. Those will all fit in there just fine, no problem. Same thing here. This is a little smaller than 5 by 7, I think. It'll fit just fine. These little squares, I think I was cutting these to 5-inch squares, so those will fit. And something else is, don't forget, you're drawing. You can draw more over here. Add some details, add some washi tape, just kind of have fun with it. Add all sorts of cool stuff. So the ones that I can help you out with a little bit, let me see if I can find one right now that doesn't quite fit. So these are a little too big, I'll show you. They stick out right here. This paper that I'm using is an ivory color and this paper is white. So the one thing that you should keep in mind is don't let them stick out off the side like that where the pages fold. You can let your drawings stick out of the top, but don't let them come out of the side. It'll interfere with the paper folding properly. So make sure that these are gone. So what I'll do before I glue this one in is I'll trim it. I'll trim the edges just a little bit so it fits inside of here. Apparently it's not that much. It's probably about less than 1/2 inch that I'll need to trim off here. That's fine. Let me see if I can find one of these longish ones. How does this fit in here? Again, I'll trim this. Don't be afraid to trim your drawings. It'll be fine. Here's another one. This one, oh, this one's considerably larger. Let me show you. This one's sticking out by quite a bit, but again, I'm going to trim it. If you want to have fun with this, when you glue these in here, let them stick out of the top if you like. It's kind of fun sometimes when things come out of the top. So that's fine. It's okay if they come out of the top, just not the side. Trim your drawings. It's okay. It'll be okay if you trim them. It's not a problem. Sometimes they won't fit and you just need to go in there and kind of snip up a little bit off the edges. It's just the edges anyway. So the rest of these look like they'll fit just fine. I will show you what I would do with a large one. So here's a full page. So this is again 8.5 by 11. And what I will do is I will find a full page spread. So here where it's wide open, this won't quite fit on there. Again, because it's that 1/2 inch larger. So I'll kind of choose where I want it to go. And then what I will make sure to do when I go to glue it or tape it in here, I'll make sure that that I put the adhesive right here along this fold. So right in the middle. Make sure I put tape here and on the edges for sure. And I'll glue it down. And then just very gently fold it along that line. Make sure it folds nicely and it opens. And that's how you can put in these larger pieces. So let's say in case of this drawing right here, if I really didn't want to trim it for whatever reason, I just was really in love with the way it worked all the way to the edges, I can include this one in here like this. And I'll be really careful and delicate when I'm gluing it. Just make sure it's fully dry. And once it's fully dry, I could fold it and just make sure everything creases nicely. And then I can use this extra space here to add washi tape or stickers or just some other kind of embellishments and just go with it. So this pretty much will give me the space to include any drawing. Even these bigger ones here, if I really want to frame them in a really nice way like this, they can go in this way. If I want it to take up 1/2 page, I can trim it and put it in there. This one might even be nice for like a cover page. Let's see. This could be a good cover for it. That's always an option. So I hope that this is helpful for you. Please have fun with this. There are lots and lots of possibilities. I will show you later as soon as I have a chance. I'll show you some other fun little things you can do with this kind of design to make it even more special and more unique. In the meantime, thank you so much for joining me. I hope that you have a lot of fun with this, and I will see you in the next one.